Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. The XRP trend is trying to rebound back, okay? We had a few days of red, and now we're seeing a glimmer of green here, guys, on the charts. As you can see, the down days have slowed down considerably with these long tails. We're seeing that buyers are not having it, and they're buying up. The price is rising, and we're closing out these last couple of days with shorter bodies, which means that the trend is likely to reverse sometime soon, and now we're seeing a green candlestick. For today, this is XRP on the daily, although, it is still early in the day. We will take a look. We'll keep an eye on that as the day goes on. But if you put the trend here on the hourly, you guys can see we're forming that head and shoulders pattern, okay, before we are going to probably continue to work our way up, making new highs, okay, higher highs and higher lows at the same time. And so the hope is that we will get up to, the mid 30-cent range before we see another correction like this. And guys, if you want to keep an eye on Bitcoin, this is what you have to do. Why is this not deleting now? Bizarre. Okay, let's look at Bitcoin real quick, just to show you guys what I'm talking about here. And so, this pattern is looking fairly repetitive. You guys can see Bitcoin on the daily. We're seeing, it just chugging away and correcting, forming some nice, clean higher highs and higher lows. And so it looks to me that Bitcoin is likely going to rise once again past that $10,000 mark. Right now, Bitcoin's trading at $97.45. And XRP right now trading at about 8.288. So if you want to look at XRP and you want to see where it's going to go next, I'm assuming it's going to hit this level of resistance, okay, from way back when, and that would bring us in between the 0.348 mark and 0.378 mark, approximately, give or take. And if we quickly throw a Fibonacci on there, we can see that does indeed line up with one of the zones. So let me just plot that out there for you guys. The high end, the 0.378 mark, would indeed land us on the 0.618 Fibonacci line. So we're looking for that next after the rebound. I saw this on Twitter from GateHub, and this sent to me by Free American Spirit on Twitter. Security update, our wallet is now using a monitoring system of addresses tied to fraudulent activities collected and published by XRP Forensics that will warn our users when trying to withdraw to a listed address. Find out more. And so they link here saying that they are cracking down on fraud by implementing this protocol. So this was updated back on February 5th, guys. I will link this in the description if you want to take a look at this. I don't know how many of you guys use GateHub, but this is a great improvement for cracking down on those XRP fraudulent accounts, people trying to scam you of your XRP. I saw this. Is Ripple looking to disrupt the $16 billion Indians remittance market? And I know some of you guys saw the Julia Chatterley interview. We're going to get into that a little more as we go on in today's video, decoding what Brad Garlinghouse was talking about in some of these, coded statements. Brad Garlinghouse is quite the politician when it comes to discussions and when it comes to talking about Ripple and talking about more specifically XRP and even more specifically XRP price. Nevertheless, he did talk about the Indian remittance market, and so this taken from the Julia Chatterley interview. A staunch supporter of regulation in the crypto space himself, Garlinghouse went on to hint that India could be on their expansion list if the lawmakers provide some sort of relief in terms of regulating the market. He said, typically you'd say India would be high on our list for remittances, for them targeting specific countries, but India hasn't yet provided a lot of clarity from a regulatory point of view, and so we have not prioritized. And this just goes back to the fact that Ripple is indeed prioritizing those countries where they know that there are friction problems. So, for example, we've talked about them, the Mexican corridor, the Philippines corridor, and they are currently using ODL in those markets. India is another country on the list where there is a lot of remittance to be had. However, regulatory clarity is still in the way of Ripple, and Brad Garlinghouse mentions this to Julia Chatterley. While there is no outright ban in the country, however, the clampdown by the Reserve Bank of India imposed nearly 2 years ago has attracted negative press for the market. The lack of regulatory clarity has not deterred the San Francisco-based firm to look forward to the vast remittance market in India. When asked if the blockchain firm has stepped back till the lawmakers of the country issue its regulatory stance on the market, Garlinghouse asserted, "I wouldn't say we've stepped back. It means a lot of frequent flyer miles for me." So clearly making a point there that they are not just sitting back and being passive with their own industry. They are being active. They are going, they are educating, they are trying to make waves. They are trying to break down barriers in a way that countries can feel relaxed, feel like, you know what, cryptocurrency isn't that bad. We just have to do the right thing to make sure the right people can get the job done, and at the same time make sure that the people who would use cryptocurrency for illicit purposes cannot use cryptocurrency for criminal activity. So Ripple's still pushing strong for India, but again, guys, it's just a matter of time before those regulations come to pass. And you know, once they come to pass, the good news is that Ripple is poised and ready to move in. This from the Daily Hodl. Ripple now holds 15 billion in XRP. CEO Brad Garlinghouse says crypto startup likely undervalued. So this in itself is a coded statement. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse says the company's recent multi-billion-dollar valuation, which cemented the company's status as one of the largest fintech firms in the US, should have been higher. In a new interview on CNN's First Move, Garlinghouse said Ripple now holds more than $15 billion worth of XRP. That number alone is higher than the $10 billion valuation Ripple attained in a recent $200 million Series C funding round. He says, I think anytime you have new investors come in, you are intimidated by the expectations that are set. By the same token, Ripple at today's XRP price owns somewhere north of $15 billion worth of crypto. So in some ways, those investors came in at a discount. What Brad Garlinghouse is essentially saying is that XRP does hold value. And Ripple currently holds $15 billion worth. Now, if we take what he's saying with the specifics out of context and just look at that XRP statement, he is going on the record saying that this token holds value. And if you remember that and what I'm going to talk about later, you'll see why he expects XRP's price to rise in the future with more utility. So just keep that in mind, guys. We are in a fortunate position with a very strong balance sheet. We're in a very fortunate position to have a lot of customer momentum. And I think it's because we focused on solving a real problem for real customers. Ripple owns more than half of the total supply of XRP. So we know all that. He also did talk a little bit about the IPO, and Julia Chatterley was trying to get it out of him. The IPO with Ripple, and if it's going to happen in 2020. And of course, he maintains his stance that, you know, many blockchain companies are going to do their IPO thing in 2020. They're not going to be the first, but they're not going to be the last. It's more of a strategic move for them. Julia Chatterley was asking him about the idea that, well, why do you need to do this? You're worth $10 billion. And Brad Garlinghouse essentially states that, you know, the more money we have, the better position we're in. And of course, that goes without saying for anything in this world. The more money you have, the more freedom, the more flexibility you have to do the things you want. This is why we're all invested in XRP. We want financial freedom. And if we could one day trade in our XRP for millions of dollars, that would grant us financial freedom to do the things we want to do. For me, I want to make movies. That's one of the things I want to do. For you, it might be something else. For some of you guys, maybe it's when Lambo time. I don't know. Everybody's got their own thing. To each their own. It's great to have ambitions and great to have goals. By the way, guys, we're getting closer and closer to that 30,000 subscriber mark. I'm giving away a Ledger Nano X if we can reach 30,000 subscribers by March 15th. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe and you will be eligible for the Ledger Nano X giveaway. Just wanted to mention that real quick. And if you didn't see the Julia Chatterley interview, BankXRP at BankXRP on Twitter posted it here. I will post the link in the description for those of you guys who want to find it quickly. And we're going to go over some of the other major takeaways from the Brad Garlinghouse interview. Once regulators understand you're not circumventing regulatory framework, they get very comfortable very quickly. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse explains why he's on a mission to educate regulators around the world. So part of this, of course, is essentially making sure that those regulators understand cryptocurrency in the correct way. We've been clouded over the years with the idea that Bitcoin is created or was created for, circumventing the system, and therefore a lot of fraudulent activity followed with that. But cryptocurrency and blockchain technology obviously can be used for much more than that. So that's part of Ripple's mandate. Globally, which country is most open to digital assets and currencies? So that's part 2 of the interview. He chops it up into 3 parts here. Part 3, what is the investment case for XRP? The value of any digital asset in the long term will be derived from the utility it delivers. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse talks driving utility, ecosystem liquidity, and going public. So some great tidbits here from the interview. Again, I will link this in the description. Otto von Bismarck makes a point to highlight some of the takeaways. Good Brad Garlinghouse performance as usual. Slightly not in favor of CBDCs. cooling some jets in general, still looking for open regulatory support. And essentially, I think in a nutshell, that is a good synopsis of what Brad Garlinghouse was talking about. We want to hear about XRP price, of course, but he continued to evade the question. Stuart XRP at XRP_Stuart on Twitter points this out. His key points from the Julia Chatterley interview: Ripple will continue to grow and take market share, focus on cross-border payments today. I think we'll look at other use cases. I hope that in 5 years, we're not just Amazon Books, but we are Amazon. And for those of you guys who do not know that analogy, Brad Garlinghouse has mentioned this before in an interview. When Amazon started, all they sold were books, and they were crushing the bookstore market. Being an online bookstore, essentially, they'd ship you books, and you wouldn't have to go to the store anymore, okay? And this is what caused a lot of the closures of the bookstores you see across America, and I'm sure other places around the world. But then Amazon wound up themselves, and they started adding new products, new categories, and they weren't just selling books. And now Amazon essentially sells everything under the sun. The number one online retailer, I think, in most countries. So in 5 years, Brad Garlinghouse doesn't want to be just Amazon Books. He wants to be Amazon. A tall order, but if he's going on record to say this, I have confidence that he's not just talking out of the side of his mouth, that he actually has a plan, that he understands Ripple's goal, he really does see the future, and he knows he has the right people on board to help Ripple accomplish that. Number 2 IPO, having a balance sheet flexibility gives us strength to do new things in the MoneyGram deals. We're going to continue to grow. We want to make sure we have that balance sheet flexibility. If you're a public company, you have a little more flexibility with the types of deals we might be looking at. So again, talking about doing the IPO thing. 3, I think we'll look at other use cases, as I kind of alluded to earlier. So again, with company growth and the price of XRP, Julia Chatterley did talk to Brad Garlinghouse about the price of XRP and essentially what we could see for XRP in the future. And Brad Garlinghouse is waiting for that utility to drive XRP price higher. He says, if there's a lot of utility and people see value in that utility, I don't worry about it, meaning the price. He doesn't look at XRP price on a daily or weekly or monthly basis like we do because we're psychopaths. No, we're not psychopaths. We're just interested in our investment. But what I'm saying is Brad Garlinghouse has faith. He has confidence that price will rise when utility is confirmed. He's waiting for that utility, that massive utility that will boost the price, and he said it without really saying it. Julia Chatterley really did a good job trying to get it out of him. Value will derive from utility if a cryptocurrency is useful, and if it solves a problem in this world, it will be worth something. And until then, we watch the price of XRP on a daily basis for spec movements to see if we can catch a few bucks on the side. Anyway, that's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to be eligible for the Ledger Nano X giveaway on March 15th. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.